Hey guys, Art speaking, Earthwalker Primitive. I'm here with another care and use video, and we'll be putting a couple of these up this year because care and use of equipment is very important. Maintaining our equipment, taking care of it, inspecting it, cleaning it, servicing it, keeping it serviceable, because we need to rely on our equipment, and our equipment needs us to rely on it, meaning that we need to take care of it so it can do the jobs that we want it to do when we need it. You know, it's one thing if we're out in the woods just hiking and camping and having fun and something breaks or is unserviceable or gets damaged, but you know, because then you can just come back in and get a new one. But what if you're actually out in a survival situation and something breaks and something goes bad because it's your fault, you neglected it, didn't take care of it, didn't clean it, didn't service it, and there's a price you're going to pay for that if we don't have good care and use of our equipment. And the title of this video is do you inspect your perishable survival gear or your perishable kit? And you know, yeah, we have a lot of stuff in our kit. A lot of stuff is permanent, it's not going to perish or go bad, and a lot of stuff that we might suspect might not go bad or might not put no thought into it. You know, it's great to have our kits put together, whether it's our camping and bushcraft kit or it's our survival kit, bug out bag, whatever it is that you put together, and then put it away and keep it there for the time that it's needed, especially if it's an emergency kit. You know, you might put something together, put some thought into it, build your kit, and put it off to the side and forget about it. And just forgetting about it, you could be losing the use and losing equipment in it. And that's what we're going to discuss about a couple things that, you know, if you haven't thought about it, of keeping an inspection, periodic inspection throughout time, you know, it's something that we need to do with our kit. And we'll start going over the things. And obviously, I think one of the most important ones is medications. You know, if we have a first aid kit where we have medications in it, typical medications like aspirin and whatnot, you know, that's stuff that we want to keep an eye on, make sure it doesn't expire. Now, you know, like we all know that certain expiration dates, you know, they're there for the manufacturer's laws and regulations that they have to set a date they can't sell something by. We all know that certain things out there, especially with food and whatnot, can still last past expiration. Some things can last longer depending on how you keep it, if it's unsealed, unopened, you know. But for instance, like Tylenol and like aspirin. Okay, we'll use aspirin as an example. Aspirin you can use past the expiration date. One way you could tell aspirin is bad, however, if you open it up and it has a real powdery feel to it and it smells like vinegar, then you know it's bad. So that, you know, you got your expiration date is bad on your Tylenol and your aspirin. Open it up, smell it, give it a good examination. You know, that's up to you. That's your call. But what about certain medications that you might need to stock in your kit that are life essential? You know, like what if you have certain medications for diabetics or allergy medications that you need to have in case you have a reaction, or heart medications, any medications. You know, if you build a first aid survival kit or emergency first aid kit for your bug out bag, survival bag, for your truck, whatever, you need to take into consideration those kind of medications. And if you do have a health condition where you do need to be medicated constantly, you know, you need to take it into consideration and put those medications into that kit also, whether you have to purchase or ask for an extra prescription, or you just, you know, save however you work it. You know, it's important to put those kind of things in there, especially for people who have allergies that need anaphylactic shock kit, especially for people who are diabetics, and anybody with a heart condition. You know, especially if you're in a survival situation, because your body's already going to be working overtime now. Possible injuries, possible sickness, and stress. You know, those kind of medications you need. And that being said, you need to be on top of that as far as care and use, as far as inspecting your kit to make sure that your medications are serviceable. So that's one thing that's perishable. That's an actual perishable thing. You know, when we talk about some of our equipment, like, you know, knives and the gear, you know, the tents, you know, that stuff you can put in the bag, keep protected from the elements, it's going to last forever. But we're talking about things that won't last forever that a lot of people might overlook. So medications is one of them. I myself too just recently went through my first aid kit. You know, I hardly ever use my first aid kit, and so I even myself neglect that from time to time. I looked through it the other day, and there was definitely some medications that expired from 2 years ago when I put my kit together, and I have to get some new items to replace those. Next thing, batteries. You know, we all pack batteries and keep batteries in our kit. You know, extra batteries are great, but you know what? Even when they're sealed up and in their plastic little containers or whatnot, they do die over time. They will lose some of their life. So it is important to check our batteries, you know, and there's really not an expiration date on batteries, but frequently, at least twice a year or so, especially after winters, because cold can drain batteries or whatnot. Excessive heat can hurt battery life. You know, take your batteries out, take your flat, whatever you use them for, run it through. Run a battery through each battery through it, just to make sure it still works and it's still giving you some juice, so that way you know you can rely on what you've got. Now I know there's all kinds of different tricks and whatnot of keeping battery life longer. I'm not really all into that. I don't understand them all. I don't know them all is what I mean. But so I'm not going to give you any one thing that, and I don't want you taking my word for it. I'm like, well, Sword said that these batteries, you know, will last longer if I do this, and they died on me, you know. They die on you. It's not my fault. It's not for me telling you anything other than telling you to inspect them and check them out, because that is a perishable item in our kit. Another thing is lighters. You know, we all like to keep lighters. It's good to have a lighter. You know, there's a lot of bushcrafters that say, you know, survivors will say, oh, you should never have a lighter in your kit. You should do fire with it. Well, you know what? Lighter is a useful tool. And if I have a lighter and I need to get a fire in a hurry and my lighter works, I'm using my lighter. I'm not going to go try to make no bow drill or hand drill. If I need a fire now and I have a lighter that works, I'm going to use it. All right. Now, when I go out in the woods for fun, relaxation, training or practice, then yeah, I'll use all those primitive skills and Ferris rides and whatnot. But you know, if it's an emergency and I need to get a fire going and I got a lighter, I'm going to use it. But they leak and they evaporate over time. I buy, you know, especially if you buy cheap ones, you buy the dollar store ones, those things seem to run out of gas by the time it takes you to walk from the store to your car. It seems they're out of gas. It's a funny thing. You know, take your lighters, check them out. You know, if you got the see-through ones, see which ones are still good. Make sure they're good. Make sure they're not rusted and corroded, because that is a perishable item. They will go bad. On the same topic of fire, one thing I've noticed, I've actually learned this one. A lot of people like to use these little sterno stoves or the gel stoves or whatnot. And I want to include, I haven't experienced it with any other kind of gel or chemical-based fuel or burners, but I have experienced it with the, keep seeing my reflection in the mirror in the window. It's dark outside. That's kind of tripping me out. Keep thinking someone's at my door. But, you know, if these are sealed up and contained, you know, they stay pretty good, because the gel, most of these gel, these sternos, is a gel base with an alcohol or a fuel impregnated in it. One thing I noticed, I had a few of these and we used them about 2 years ago. I opened them up, I had a couple that I used that still got the gel in them, but indeed I took them out and went to light them in, and some of them lit for about 10 seconds and then died. One or two of them didn't even light. They were all pre-opened. I mean, I already had them open. They were sitting in there. I don't know if they were sealed, not sealed completely or what, but the fuel in them did evaporate out because it wasn't a sealed, unopened container. And I'd say over a period of about 1.5 years to 2 years of them sitting on the shelf, they completely dried out. The gel was in it, but there was no fuel. So keep that in mind if you are using that kind of fuel. Like I said, these sterno burners, this one's the handy fuel, canned heat, and you know, it's just ethanol in it, so it does evaporate. So if there's any kind of leakage, if you did open it, if you did take one out and use it, you know, maybe you might want to seal it up and put something around it so it's not evaporating, because once you break that seal, if it evaporates and it has a long enough time to do it, it's going to completely dry out. So once again, that's another perishable item in the kit. Another thing is our foodstuffs. It's another perishable item. Now, this is my corn pudding mix, and I did a video not too long ago of me making this corn pudding mix. This corn pudding mix in the vacuum pack bag should last me about 2 years. Alright, and you know, it would last me 2 years, I have no doubt about that, but you know, through me taking this and putting it in my pack and moving my pack around, going out hiking with it and stuff like that, getting thrown around, something in my bag punctured this airtight container. So you can see it's not vacuum packed no more. Alright, now I just noticed this a couple days ago, so technically this is still probably good. It's not going to last me 2 years no more, but something indeed did get in there and punctured the seal on that. And so now it's perishable. It's not going to last me 2 years. And if I didn't notice this, if I didn't go through my kit, which I continuously do, and notice this, I would have left that in there, relied on it, and then probably, you know, if something would have happened and I needed my kit 2 years from now, 3 years from now, I would have picked it up and probably had a cake of mold in there or whatnot. Mice might have smelled it and got in it or whatnot. But so if you're packaging your foodstuffs, even though you know you buy it, you know, if you buy the Mountain House meals, you buy MREs, you buy whatever it is, you know, and you know, okay, seal package is going to last me, you know, 2, 3, 5 years, whatever. You know, still need to go take it, pull it out of your pack, put your hands on it every once in a while, you know, and check it out. Because obviously some things can go bad and it's a perishable item. So same for people. One thing I know, I live in an old farmhouse. We have an old storage shed outside, and it's actually my workshop I shoot little videos from, and there was a mice problem last year, and I had a whole case of unopened MREs. You know, I don't know if anybody's seen a case of MREs, but it's a case. I don't know how many are in it, maybe 30 or so, 20, 30 of the military MREs, completely sealed up, and mice got into that box and actually burrowed through it, every single one of them. So that's a perishable item, even though MREs are good for, who knows, you know, they last, like, I think they're 10 years is their shelf life, you know, in a sealed container as is. But if I just put that box in there and never looked at that box, I never would have noticed that happened to it. And if something happened and I needed to rely on those MREs, I would have pulled them up, found that they were useless, completely useless. So keep that in mind when you're packing your kit. You know, examine everything, make a mental note, write a list. Do it. If you're going to make a bag and you're not going to touch that bag, this is strictly my emergency bag for tornadoes, bad weather, riots, whatever purpose or rhyme or reason that you make that bag. If you're making it to not touch it, never use it, you need to at least make yourself a list of something, of everything that's in it. Figure out what's perishable, what might die over time, what might evaporate over time, what might expire over time, what might get punctured and rot if I don't check it out. And then, you know, make yourself a schedule, whatever, the first of each month or something like that. Check it out. We need to make sure that we are inspecting our perishables and making sure that our equipment, which we are going to rely on, is being relied on by us and being taken care of. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you gained some more thought into your kits and how you pack it, how you maintain it. And I hope this care and use video helped you out. And I'm Sergeant speaking with Earthwalker Primitive. Thank you.